What is palliative care?
I'm not sure. I really am not sure of what it is at all. I didn't find it in any dictionary, and nobody could explain it to me.
I can't even pronounce it. Palliative?
Yes, palliative. You got it.
Palliative?
Yes.
What's the word palliative come from, do you know? Does it have something to do with pain?
The Latin word for it, which was cloak, that's what it was all about. Like, give you a hug, or if you're cold, to make you warm.
I know what it is because I looked it up with Mr. Webster, but I would, best word I would use is easing a difficult time.
Quality of life, I think that's the key word. Quality of life would be the emphasis of palliative care.
I had never really been acquainted with that word at all, and so I'm curious.
Hi, I'm Charlie,
And I'm Marla.
and we've just spent the past couple of days talking to some different folks about what they think palliative care is, their different perspectives, and I think we've learned a lot.
We have. We heard a lot of common misconceptions today about palliative care. One of them being that palliative care is the same thing as hospice.
Yeah, and I think we were able to kind of address the misconception that palliative care has to do with quality of life and not end of life.
I think it's people who need care that don't have too long to live. But it isn't hospice, I was told.
I thought it was interesting that it was a program that it actually is to assist people, but not to make any cures from that standpoint.
I think it's comfort care with compassion.
Palliative care is an area of medicine that treats the whole person, I would say.
Palliative care usually is associated with a hospital, but I've had aunties who've had palliative care in hospice at home until the end of her days.
Well, palliative care means that the person is going to get better, perhaps, but it's perhaps a chronic problem, but you want to make them comfortable, but probably not able to cure them.
It seems to be something very useful to people, and even better than hospice. And hospice is like the end. I mean, this is something that may go on for a long, long time.
The best part of the past 2 days is just having people who were so willing and candidly speaking about what they've been going through.
One thing, I participated in taking care of my wife for a while, so I have seen palliative care in action, and it's of great help. I think it's of great help for the needy person and for the family helper or caregiver.
Freedom. I like to make my own choices within the bounds of my illnesses, and that's important to me, very important.
My son had to have palliative care, and at first I thought it was, similar to the end-of-life hospice, but it's not. It's continued care that he needed, and he could have it at home, and a nurse came in.
I have a particular friend that told me 3 years ago that he was on palliative care and that they were putting him in hospice care. And now when I talk with him and I say, "Randy, how are you?" And he says, "How are you doing?" And he says, "Not bad for a guy that should have died 3 years ago." So and I'm sure it has helped him a lot.
Yes, my sister has had a stroke,
Okay.
and her quality of life has changed remarkably from a very active 70-year-old lady who volunteered, who drove her granddaughter across town, and now she's bound to almost a wheelchair. However, she has had physical therapy. She's had folks who've come in to help her with her mobility, to deal with her cognition, because there have been cognition issues. We all try to surround her with a diverse number of activities and fun outings, things like that, to help her kind of regain her old normal. She knows this is the new normal.
A lot of people were surprised to hear that we've received palliative care before.
They were, and especially since I've been receiving it all my life, you've been receiving it, for the majority of your life. They were really surprised just because of our age, and I think they didn't realize that it's something that anyone can receive. What if I told you both that I have actually been receiving palliative care for all my life? What would you say?
That you have received it?
My entire life.
I would say, good for you.
Do I look like someone you think would typically receive palliative care?
No.
No.
It would surprise me because of your age, but I would believe you.
I've always assumed that age wasn't an issue.
I've seen him, so I'm a great. I wish we knew more about palliative care. I wish it were a more common thing in the everyday medical treatment of a person.
And I think learning from these people also reminds us how important it is to just have these conversations, and also shows us how we need to be having these, whether it's in the hospital, whether it's at home, whether it's with our family, whether it's with peers, or even in our schools. So I think today was a great learning experience for everyone involved.
Everyone.
I think it's really important that we continue this conversation going forward as well. Palliative care really is good medicine.
If you think you're someone who could benefit from palliative care, don't be afraid to ask your family, ask your healthcare providers, talk to your friends.